to 15.7 trillion naira at the end of December 2019.
Senior Democrats have responded by accusing the committing gross of the All Progressives Congress has vowed to punish the Ogun State governor. He became most
Welcome to Celebration Television News Desk. I am Belly Squetta. Happy New Year to everyone, and thanks for joining us on the news desk. Now the news making the headlines. Buhari, Oshibanjo and SGF to take COVID-19 vaccine on live telecast. Repression and violence, the challenges in running for Uganda's top job. Capitol riots, Trump commits to orderly transition of power. 5,552.8 megawatts of power generation successfully transmitted to Discus, says the TCN. And Tokyo Olympic goes ahead despite COVID-19 surge, says organizers. Stay with us as the details of the news come after this short time out. Welcome back. Now the news in details. Buhari, Oshibanjo and SGF to take COVID-19 vaccine on live telecast. The Executive Director, National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Fashal Shaib, has said the President Muhammadu Buhari, Vice President Yemi Oshibanjo, the Secretary to the Governments of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, and other prominent Nigerians will be among the first set to receive the COVID-19 vaccine on live television to help drive awareness. He said at the weekly press briefing by the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 in Abuja, he mentioned earlier that they will like to see a situation where Mr. President, the Vice President, and the SGF critical leaders come to take the vaccine in full glare of the public to demonstrate that the vaccine is safe. And they have to make provisions for those, but even in developed countries, what they have seen is that apart from the prioritization of health workers, they have to also identify critical leaders that they won't want them to be wiped off by the virus. And Shaib said experience had shown that the vaccines are always better than health immunities. And he said COVID-19, it will take approximately 10 years for one to be able to achieve health immunity, and many people would have died if health immunity is to be relied upon. And moving forward on other stories, court decides Obaseki's fate over alleged certificate forgery on Saturday. Edo State Governor Godwin Obaseki will by noon on Saturday know his fate as a federal high court in Abuja will deliver judgment in the alleged certificate forgery case filed against him by the All Progressive Congress and a chieftain of the party, Adobo Williams. Justice Ahmed Mohammed took the time and thereafter lawyers to both parties adopted their final written addresses. And counsel for Obaseki, Ken Mozia San, and the People's Democratic Party, Razak Isenalume, after adopting their final written addresses, urged the court to dismiss the suit. And while Isenalume also prayed the court to award substantial cost against the plaintiff, Mozia prayed the court to hold that the plaintiff failed woefully to prove their case. And counsel for the Independent National Electoral Commission, Mukhtar Bawa, said in his submission that they did not file any process in this suit and have consistently remained neutral. They urge the court to decide the case on one way or the other in accordance with the processes before it. And the plaintiff had in the suit marked FHC/B/CS/74/2020 asked the court to, amongst others, disqualify Obaseki as a candidate of the PDP in the September 19, 2020 governorship election. And according to them, the governor forged his first degree certificate, which he claimed to have obtained from the University of Ibadan in 1979, and which he submitted to INEC as part of his educational qualifications. And the plaintiffs had claimed that a photocopy of the degree certificate attached to the nomination form that Obaseki submitted to the INEC did not contain the signature of the registrar of the university and the date it was issued. And moving to another development, reps may allow states to determine minimum wage. The federal government may soon lose its exclusive power to negotiate and determine the minimum wage for workers across the three tiers of government. The House of Representatives is considering an amendment to the 1999 Constitution by removing matters relating to wages from the exclusive legislative list to the concurrent legislative list. And when a bill becomes law, respective states and local governments will determine different wages for their workers. And the bill, sponsored by Mr. Garba Dati Muhammad, which is a second reading, is seeking to make respective governments to determine wages in accordance to available resources. And Muhammad expressed hope that the federal government, the organized labor, and the governors would support the proposal. And he stated that allowing the federal government to solely determine a uniform wage for all states, irrespective of their individual economic capacity, was unfair. And Muhammad said every state should pay according to what it has. But labor always looks at it from the point of view that they want to weaken the organized labor so that the government will always have a say. And every labor union in the state should negotiate with the respective state governments. And moving forward, coming from around Africa, repression and violence, the challenges in running for Uganda's top job. And ahead of Uganda's January 14 election, President Yoweri Museveni's government continued to limit the opposition's voices by blocking campaigning, enabling an environment that cannot facilitate a fair and free vote, according to rights groups. And the repression and coronavirus prevention measures have restricted the presidential hopefuls' attempt to get their messages out, with the police aiming to physically block them from campaigning. And for instance, opposition candidate and the pop star turned lawmaker Robert Kyagulanyi Sentamu, who goes by the name Bobby Wine, has been arrested multiple times. Wine said every day they are met with heavily armed military forces. It's always tear gas and grenades, live bullets and beatings. He says he has been targeted with rubber bullets and tear gas while campaigning, and now he wears a bulletproof vest. And still from around Africa, South Africa to deploy military to assist in enforcing COVID-19 regulations. South Africa says it will deploy its National Defense Force in the Western Cape to assist police with enforcing lockdown regulations. One of their main focus areas will be the beaches along the garden routes while people are still visiting. And Dr. Kate Clote, head of the Provincial Health Department, said that the details of the military deployment are still being hashed out. And beaches in most provinces are now closed to prevent the spread of COVID-19. A new variant of the coronavirus is driving a powerful second wave infections in the country. And according to Health Minister Dr. Nzweli Mize, South Africa hit a grim milestone on Wednesday, January 6th, after it recorded more than 20,000 new COVID-19 cases in a single day. And we'll go on a short break. When we come back, we get more updates from the United States of America. Stay with us.
Catch fire.
Hunchback. Papa, the mother screamed. Hold with hunchback. You know what, Papa? Drop the child. Papa, look at the child. She's running. She's running.
Another gathering for a peculiar generation, guaranteed for an indelible symbol.
I saw Bernard.
Bernard is my son.
On his back, I saw Russia.
He's in Russia now.
Generational Impact Gambia 2021 with Apostle Johnson Suleiman.
You're watching us in Gambia. Believe God with us that miracles will happen. Healings will take place. There'll be restoration of all that the enemy has stolen as we come to Gambia.
25th and 26th January 2021, 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. GMT+1. Happening live at Q City, Bruce B Turntable, Senegambia Highway, Nawek Junction, Gambia. For inquiries, please call Generational Impact Gambia 2021. It's your time.
Welcome back. Now news from the United States of America. Capitol riot, Trump commits to orderly transition of power. U.S. President Donald Trump has committed to an orderly transition of power a day after his supporters stormed Congress, provoking world condemnation. Mr. Trump's remarks posted on Twitter following a suspension were widely seen as his first public acknowledgement of electoral defeat. He spoke as a top Democrat, called for him to be removed from office. Hours later, Capitol Police said one officer had died from injuries sustained during the riot. 4 others also died. Said one Trump supporter was shot by police, while 3 died as a result of medical emergencies. The breach of the seat of U.S. government led to the evacuation of shocked lawmakers, postponing for several hours their certification of President-elect Joe Biden's victory over Mr. Trump. And more updates from Asia. COVID-19, China places 11 million under lockdown after outbreak in northern city. China had placed 11 million people in the northern city of Shijiazhuang under lockdown after more than 100 new cases of COVID-19 were confirmed there. And residents are banned from leaving the city, and schools have also been closed. More than 5,000 testing sites have been set up so every resident can be tested. The new figures are the highest China has seen in more than 5 months. The country has been able to contain such outbreaks by immediately taking tough actions. And this has involved consistently using mass testing when new clusters of cases appear, even if they seem relatively small. And Hebei province, where Shijiazhuang is located, reported 120 new cases, and all but one of those infections was in the city. Elsewhere in the country, 22 new cases were confirmed. The virus was first detected in the Chinese city of Wuhan in late 2019 before spiraling into global pandemic. And the lockdown comes just weeks ahead of Chinese New Year, a time when people in China travel en masse to spend the holiday with their families. And moving forward now on business news, 5,552.8 megawatts of power generation successfully transmitted to Discos, says the TCN. Nigeria has recorded an all-time peak power generation of 5,552.8 megawatts. The transmission company of Nigeria says. And according to the TCN, the new peak power generation, which was recorded at the 8:15 p.m., was successfully transmitted across the grid to power distributors. And this latest all-time peak transmitted surpasses the last peak generation of 5,520.4 megawatts, which was also effectively transmitted by the TCN on October 30, 2020. The transmission company's general manager of public affairs, Ndidimba, said in Abuja. And the new all-time peak surpasses the previous highest power generation figure of 32.4 megawatts. Mba said the new peak was an indication of the gradual but consistent growth in the capability of the power sector. And she stated that with the capacity of transmission 8,100 megawatts, the TCN successfully transmitted the enhanced peak through the nation's grid at a frequency of 50.08 hertz. And according to her, the acting managing director of the TCN, Sule Abdulaziz, encouraged all sector players to work together to ensure sustained improvement in the power industry. And Abdulaziz said the TCN had continued to build more substations as well as install additional transformers in various substations nationwide. He said the company was also restringing old transmission lines to further increase their capacity to transmit more bulk electricity for distribution companies nationwide. And the TCN boss said the company was able to efficiently wheel increase the generation through the national grid. And still on business news, the World Bank projects 5% growth for Nigeria and others in 2021. The World Bank projected a 5% growth for emerging markets and developing economies in 2021. Nigeria is a developing economy, and the financial institution's projection was contained in its January 2021 Global Economic Prospect Report. And the bank said growth in emerging markets and developing economies is envisioned to firm to 5% in 2021, but the EMDE output is also expected to remain well below its pre-pandemic projection. And the January 2021 Global Economic Prospect Reports projected a return to global growth, but stated that risk would remain as economic activities and incomes were likely to stay low for an expected period. He stated that although the global economy was emerging from the collapse triggered by the pandemic, the recovery was projected to be subdued. And also, global economic output is expected to expand 4% in 2021, but still remain more than 5% below its pre-pandemic trend. And it added that, moreover, there is a material risk that setbacks in containing the pandemic or other adverse events derail the recovery. And the financial institution said the pandemic had exacerbated the risk associated with a decade-long wave of global debt accumulation. And we're going on another break. When we come back, we get news from the world of sports. Don't go anywhere.
Wait is over. You can now connect to Celebration TV's official website, www.mycelebrationtv.com. Specially designed for your satisfaction, you get to access a lineup of inclusive contents and programs of Celebration TV. Get the latest updates and news stories from our news desk. Be kept abreast on infos about all outreaches and events of the Resurrection Apostle Johnson and Dr. Lizzie Suleiman.
Watch Celebration TV on the go via our 24/7 live streaming service. With all these and more, we make your partnership with us as we take the gospel around the world way easier with just a click. Hurry now. Visit www.mycelebrationtv.com.
Welcome back. Now on news from the world of sports. Tokyo Olympic goes ahead despite COVID-19 surge, says organizers. Tokyo 2020 organizers say they will be ready to host the Olympic Games despite the city declaring a state of emergency over COVID-19. The rescheduled games are set to take place between July 23rd and August 8, 2021. Japanese Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga said there was a sense of crisis as he announced an emergency of COVID-19 plans. Organizers said the declaration of emergency offers an opportunity for Tokyo 2020 to plan for a safe and secure games this summer. And Tokyo recorded 2,447 new COVID-19 cases, and the latest measures primarily target restaurants and bars, which will be asked to stop serving alcohol by 7 p.m. local time and close an hour later. And costs for the games have increased by £2.1 billion because of measures needed to prevent the spread of coronavirus. The International Olympics Committee said the IOC has full confidence in the Japanese authorities and the measures they are taking. And in another sports story, and last on the news desk, Enyimba Rivers no Confed Cup foes today. And Nigeria's representatives in the CAF Confederations Cup, Enyimba and Rivers United, will know their next round foes today during the draws for the playoff round of the competition at the CAF headquarters in Cairo, Egypt. Enyimba dropped to CAF's second-tier competition after they lost 4-2 on aggregate to Sudan's Al Merrikh in the Champions League on Wednesday. And this defeat cost the two-time African champions a payoff of $550,000, about 253 million naira. And Rivers United, on their own part, will hope to see off Bloemfontein Celtic in the second leg after recording a 2-0 win in the first leg in Bloemfontein. And the second leg was earlier scheduled for Wednesday but was abandoned after the new COVID-19 travel restrictions in Nigeria prevented Celtic from entering the country. And that's the size of the news. It is said before, two wrongs cannot make a right, so make sure you take the right decisions in everything that you do. You can also share your thoughts on the photo of the day today on our social media platforms. On Facebook, we are Celebration TV. On Instagram, we are My Celebration TV. On Twitter, it is at My Celebration TV. And on YouTube, it is Celebration TV. And don't you forget that your positive contribution to the wellness of the society you find yourself in or the organization you work in defines your leadership might. And as an individual who knows what to do and do without expecting to be pushed has backed his way to success. But it's known today that everything we do, everything we think, everything we feel and behave either has a positive or a negative effect on humanity and our national well-being. So be a part of nation building today. Thanks for watching the news on Celebration Television News Desk. I am Belly Squatter and have a bright and beautiful weekend. God bless you.